Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Mortgage Coach Tuesday interview. For over a decade, I have been interviewing top producing loan officers, authors, leaders, people that just connect with the Mortgage Coach values. I've got Todd Bookspan as my wingman on today's call. What's up, Todd?
Not much. Super excited to be here on another Tuesday call and meet a new mortgage coach who I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's guys. I did do an interview with Gina a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago. You're gonna love her. Just wait till you hear her story. Also helping, mastermind style, we've got Deborah Bird, the founder of plugandplaysm.com. What's up, Deborah?
Good morning.
Good. So guys, I've got, I want to do like a full top producer interview because I did this last interview with Gina and it was kind of interesting. I often look at like, hey, who's the top loan officer using Mortgage Coach at different big companies? And usually when I go to cross country and I look who's doing the most TCAs, it's Jeremy Forcier, and I'm like it's pretty hard to beat Jeremy. I mean, he does a lot of total cost analysis, and all of a sudden, Gina Myers, like, who's Gina Myers crushing Jeremy Forcier with the most TCAs? And so I did this reach out, hey Gina, you want to talk? And we did this 30-minute interview, and it was rad. I mean, I ended up positioning it as how to win with rate shoppers because that's kind of where it went. Like, so Gina, welcome to a full 1 hour interview. We're super pumped to get to know you better. Welcome to the Mortgage Coach community.
Thank you so much for having me, Dave. I'm thrilled to be here. You're such a VIP in the mortgage industry, and I'm flattered. And so nice to get to know you as well, Todd and Deborah. And yeah, let's get this going.
Well, let's start from the top. How long have you been a mortgage professional, and maybe like what is your mortgage professional why? Like I asked that question and I get a lot of different answers, but when did you start and how long has it been?
Sure. So this is my 10th year in the mortgage business. So out of college, I got into actually construction management, which was sort of funny because people would see me on the metro in DC and ask me, I see you with your hard hat. Where are you going? So I was a project manager in construction management, moved up the ranks. I actually went back to college, got my master's or grad school, got my master's degree in real estate development, and then started doing asset management. I quickly realized I was doing leasing for the owner of our company without necessarily being compensated, as being the broker. And so I realized quickly that sales may be a calling for me. I had a couple of kids and I was ready to put my foot on the pedal and get out there. So I started interviewing and talking to all kinds of people, doing those, strength finder type book analysis, profile testing, the disc profile, figuring out what strengths do I have where I will be my happiest. I had a great friend at the time who was in mortgage, and he kept asking me, Gina, you would be great in mortgage. And I was like, oh my God, mortgages? I owned a home at the time. I had a mortgage. It was an okay experience. I wasn't quite sure. And then, it was a situation in life where my husband said, hey, my job is steady. Why don't you go for it? I took a pay cut and I assisted for him. But my goal was always to grow because that, it's just in my DNA. My husband asked me even today, when will you stop growing? I'm like, oh, I don't think I can do that. So I got into mortgage 10 years ago. I was an assistant. I then quickly went on my own, and now I have since grown my own team and have my own branch 10 years later.
Wow. Well, you've done a lot in 10 years. Why don't you tell us, where your branch is, what kind of production you're doing, and describe your team a little bit.
Absolutely. So my office is in Fairfax, Virginia. We are about 15 miles outside of Washington, D.C. So we do a lot of business in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. And that's, it's interesting to be in multiple different states and the district. I have right now 8 team members. I have an executive assistant, a few loan partners, a few processors, a marketing director, and then a setups person. And so my team is, the favorite part of my team is that they're mostly homegrown, and it's something that truly drives me, bringing in people that have never been in mortgage and then training them on how we do business. I'm also part of the core coaching program, similar to Jeremy. So I follow that model. This year, we will close about 340 units for 185 million. And so just shy of that 200 million mark, but that's okay. We'll get there next year. And that's the majority of, so 60% purchase, 40% refinance last year. My average loan amount is pretty high. So it's about 555,000. So
Wow.
So Gina, when you say most of them are homegrown, how did you find them?
Sure. So the few that are that follow that description
Mhm.
are from realtors. So one, I have my biggest realtor that I work with this year. We're going to close over 30 deals together, and we've grown up
Wow.
together as well. And I share a lot about my business with realtors that I work with because I want them to grow as well and learn about their team. And I was telling them that I was looking for someone, and it's all about personality, being people oriented. And he introduced me to one person, and then when we did, actually I found another person through Instagram, our Instagram following, because team culture is one of the most important values and pillars that I have. So I always I want people to come here and really enjoy working together. And that person I got from Instagram was like, hey, I'm following you, and really believed in the culture before they even started.
So I'm curious, what are your core values within your culture?
Yeah, we actually just did those the other day. Communication, always winning. Um, let's see, we're very, very relational. So that is probably my top core value, because I truly believe that there's like anyone can throw together a loan scenario, send it over, and it's all about the experience for me. And I think that's what brings people back, and that's when they buy their next home, or when their family member buys a home, or their friends or their colleagues. It's all about making people feel a certain way. And yes, we're in the real estate business, and yes, selling homes and selling mortgages, but to me it's a human to human interaction, and it's all about how do they feel when we worked together.
I love that.
I do too. Before I ask the next question, Todd, anything you want to ask or say?
I just love, culture. I love that that's so important to you. What have you done to keep culture going through these crazy times?
Yeah, we actually do a fair amount. So, a couple of things we did the disc profile testing. I don't know if you ever worked with Manesh before, but really getting to know each other on a very, very deep level. Every Friday we do Fun Friday. So the team, you wouldn't believe how much they look forward to like trivia. It's hilarious. So we'll do trivia, we'll do games, there's prizes. I just had the whole team over to my house last weekend for a big holiday event. We're actually planning like a little getaway together because we achieved our over $125 million goal. All kinds, there are happy hours. They're invited to all my realtor events. Yeah, we just did vision boards. I'm trying to think of what else. It's a constant thought for me. What can we do together? How can we have lunch together? The holidays, celebrating, dressing up for Halloween. And it's funny because they'll say, like, their friends will say, gosh, you and your team do so much together. And to me, that's just baseline. Because it's like, why not? It's so much. I would rather enjoy being together and having fun and laughing and being silly and dancing and winning and high-fiving. So that's why I love being back in the office. I don't know how everybody does it virtual.
Yeah,
I want to see the dancing, the behind the scenes dancing of the group.
A lot of dancing. There's some rapping, there's dancing. Little
Looks like
Todd
LL
and
Cool
Jay
J.
got this one down.
I know. They're like, Gina, we need to do the more TikTok. I'm like, okay.
It looks
So
like everybody needs to follow her on Instagram. Is Instagram your main channel, or Facebook, or what are your primary?
I would say
social channels?
Instagram. Sure, Instagram. Gina Meyer's team.
All right. Well, at halftime, once we get about halfway through this, the way she's using video, the way she's using advice in social media, I think is something that we need to learn from. So we'll get to that at about the halfway point. Let's get into Mortgage Coach, because like I said, the way I found you was how many total costs you've done 82 TCAs in the last 30 days. And then I also know you haven't been using Mortgage Coach that long. I don't know if I know it's been less than a year.
It's been less than a year. Mhm.
Yeah. So in less than a year, you're almost a grandmaster at 953 TCAs. Let's just start with why. Why did you decide to become a mortgage coach?
Mhm. For a few years, I've heard about Mortgage Coach. So I do feel like I'm late to the game and wish I had used it sooner. I was with a different company and it wasn't necessarily supported at the time or uh, maybe encouraged. And so at that point, I was sending PDFs of multiple
no.
scenarios. So terrible, so terrible, so inefficient, so hard to update. When a team member was out, you're like, "Where's the Excel?" Very, very inefficient. The poor client, like trying to look at a PDF on their phone, is a joke because they go to the bottom, they can't find it. So after again being in the core and talking to all kinds of people, they were like, Gina, I mean, you have to do this. So when I switched companies, once I got things rocking and rolling with the new systems with cross country mortgage, I switched to Mortgage Coach, and I really had to encourage my team and my loan partners to start utilizing it, and then obviously going to video. And I can tell you, just right out of the gate, people were super receptive. Even I had a loan partner do one for the first time the other day, doing the video, and she was very, very nervous, and the client wrote back right away, I love this. And so because we got such great feedback initially, it allowed us to really ramp up with the technology. So for me, it's you have to keep up with technology, and if you are going to compete or look professional and in line with today's trends with technology, that Mortgage Coach just really lent itself to that.
Well, I like all those answers, and I like the way you described a PDF versus a TCA. And we'll, like I'd say, in the latter third of the call, we'll drill down and really get into how are you and your team using Mortgage Coach,
Okay.
who's creating it. I'd even like to see a couple of your most recent mortgage strategies. And remember, guys, Mortgage Coach isn't about the technology or even the company. It's about delivering a modern experience to a family. And so, Todd and I and Deborah has been doing social media for the Modern Mortgage Summit. So we had our second year where we did the Modern Mortgage Summit. And I can tell already, if you're willing to do it, we're going to want to invite you to next year's Modern Mortgage Summit. But what does it mean to be a modern mortgage professional to you? Like, describe that at a high level, what that means to you.
Sure, absolutely. So I often describe our team and the experience as more of like a Nordstrom experience compared to maybe going to Target or something like that. I mean, obviously Target's fantastic, but it's just that concierge experience, the high touch, the high service, high level of communication, over communication oftentimes. In this market, especially, I mean, I know the whole country has a very competitive market right now, but we have very, very sophisticated buyers that obviously know how to use Google, know how, like, they feel confident calling others. And when you can prepare something so quickly and so efficiently and so straightforward that they don't have to spend time worrying, am I getting all the options? Do I understand? Do I need to call someone else? Then that makes us more of that concierge modern mortgage experience compared to an online, a bigger type online company experience with someone just sitting behind their desk. Of course, and we do other things too. I mean, we're available nights and weekends. We always have someone covering. There's a lot of availability to update these. And that's even what Jeremy Forcier and I were talking about the other day. He said, Gina, it's so easy to update the Mortgage Coach on the weekend. It's not like it takes you a ton of time because you already have it there and you're just updating the property addresses. And wow, the agents are all over that, right? I mean, they want their clients to be able to make a decision immediately and be the first offer in, which I believe statistically is the winning offer. So anything we can do to help move that client forward, is what we're here to do. I've had clients that work for credit unions and they're like, gosh, I couldn't even get my own company to respond as fast as you. So a lot is speed and efficiency.
So my takeaway from what you said is the modern mortgage professional leverages tech, media to deliver an amazing experience. It's really that simple. And guys, I loved her analogy. Anybody that has tuned into our community a lot, we talk about this acronym WACD. What does that stand for? What Amazon can't do. And I think Nordstrom is a great example of that. Like, they're doing what Amazon can't do, connecting with people. But here's the deal, guys. The modern mortgage professional can do what Amazon can't do, but they can also do what they can do. Like when you go to Nordstrom's and they don't have what you want, anyone in that store can, like, oh, we do have it in the back, or, oh, you can get that 10 miles over here, or, oh, if you want, I'll click a button and have it shipped to your house. Like they can do what Amazon can't do, and they can do as Amazon can do. And that's what Gina's doing. She is a local modern mortgage advisor, and she's building a team around that.
Excuse me to interrupt. That's what I say to my team. Everyone think back to an experience that you had where you left that moment was like, wow, that was a great experience. Maybe it's getting a, massage or nails or buying a product or an experience at a restaurant. And it makes you want to tell others about it. And that is the experience I want to create for our clients and our agents, is that feeling of, oh my gosh, that was so awesome. Who can I tell? Because I want them to also have a similar experience.
Well, before I ask the next question, I want to remind everybody listening to this. This is mastermind style. So whether you're watching this live in Zoom, whether you're watching this on Facebook, ask a question. We'll get it into the conversation. And if you're watching the recording on our YouTube channel, we'll get it answered. Put your questions down below. Deborah or Todd, any questions you have around everything she said so far before I ask the next one?
Let's just dig in a little bit on the client experience. So obviously, ton of communication, obviously a mortgage coach TCA with a video. What else is unique in your process that you feel like makes people want to refer you like that?
Sure. So something we've implemented over the last 2 years is called extreme follow-up. So every Wednesday, there is a touch point with our clients who are pre-approved. So whether that is an email, a phone call, a text message, or a gift, or a heart, or a piece of mail, there is a touch point every week. And that's definitely a selling point for agents as well, because they're typically co-branded. But of course, it's so interesting to me how some people prefer different modes of communication and how some people really like gifts. So so you don't really know these people as well as you would hope. So you try to communicate with them in different ways. So of course I can call, and then another week is a text message. And the amount of texts that we get back is really cool, just to check in with them in a different mode. Of course, we'll send like a gift card with some candies and say, hey, as you're taking a break from your house search, go ahead and enjoy a movie with on us. And we get a lot of great feedback from that. And there's other little gifts that we send throughout that process. So that's probably one of the biggest things we do, is an extreme follow-up that's managed by my assistant. And part of it's emails with video testimonials, part of it's emails with me checking in, part of it's with me sending texts or phone calls, or my loan partners. We have a whole program that I'm happy to share it.
Well, let's do this, because I do want to unpack all the different things you're doing with video. I know that you've not only created a lot of total cost analysis, but the majority of them have a video on it. So I'm going to want to do a whole unpacking of all your video strategies. But before we get to that, and remember, guys, put your questions down below. Josh Pitts, what's up? Love your vibe in chat and love the questions you're asking. I want to, before we get into, like, let's just say tactical, knowing that you've really only been in the business for 10 years and you're doing 185 million and you've built this team, there had to be a point in your career where you like pivoted. I or maybe you're going to tell me, you know what, Dave, I got in the business and just killed it every year. But was there this year of growth or this decision that you made where it really defined who you are today? Like, you were new girl Gina to you're badass, one of the best in the country. Was there a year or a thing that happened that created who you are today?
Sure. And I think, those originators out there, we all remember the first couple deals we got, our first couple leads, and it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm doing a loan. And I still remember that like yesterday, and I still feel that. And I don't think that will ever go away. And I do remember my first year after assisting, um, I said to myself, okay, 30 million is my number. I'm going to originate 30 million. And I thought, how the heck? I mean, there was a month I did no loans, right? And that's probably the year I worked the absolute hardest. I would say when things started pivoting was when I hired my first assistant. So once I started getting help, because with I had a family, I had two young kids at home. We were still doing paper files, if you remember that. And it was exhausting. I was working crazy hours. And I thought to myself, I clearly am I need to lean into making more calls, meeting more people. I did a ton of in-person meetings, and I needed more help. So I would say once I hired my first assistant to take some of that, the behind the scenes work off of my plate, I was still collecting my own conditions, and very, very, very much involved with the loan once, all the way through. So when I got some help there, that's when things really pivoted for me, and I could lean into what I was best at, which was meeting with agents, meeting with clients, doing face to face, and getting in front of people.
Well, two questions on that. One, how many years into your 10-year career was that? And what was your production when you started building your team?
Sure. So once I did, I think after the first year, I pretty much hired my first assistant. And I would say, I mean, when I went to the executives of the company and I said, I need to hire someone else. And I said, if you look at the data, every time I hired someone, I grew 30%. And, I was like, this doesn't make sense for me to not hire people. But as you get bigger, that does it's not, I don't think it's an equal percentage of growth, of course. Um, but yeah, so it was,
But your first one, were you at like 5 loans a month, or were you like at 10 loans a month when you got your first team member?
it probably was like, yeah, 7 to 10 loans a month, because at that point, there's not enough time in the day to give that level of service to people.
No doubt. And I want to remind any new loan officer out there, I wrote a playbook called the New Loan Officer Playbook. It's in my LinkedIn articles. I'll put a link down below to it. And it was based on researching some of the best mentors in the business. And also I included some loan officers that did 100 loans in their first year. And I'm like, hey, what are the scripts? What are the tactics? And then I have a whole resource section. So if you're a new loan officer and you haven't checked out that playbook, you're missing some resources. And get in there, dig in, and we'll help you get to that next level. So let's kind of start going into today, what you're doing in strategies. I have been hearing as rates are going up, pivot to purchase, that there's a little more rate shopping in the market. And that's when you and I did our last interview. It was all around, winning with rate shoppers by Gina. But are you still seeing that? Is it still a pretty tight market from a rate shopping
Absolutely.
perspective?
I think since our interview, I was like, oh boy, it's getting worse. There's a lot of rate shopping right now, more so than there was definitely last year, definitely in the last few years. So the most recent approach is a lot more TCAs, I would say, so that they don't have to go look somewhere else. Or, another approach is, hey, I understand that you're shopping. Let's do it together. And so what I'll do is on a video call, pull up a local credit union or pull up even Quicken. If you can pull those up and they list their rates, and you say to the client, look, these clearly, if you look at the disclosures that are all the way scroll, and you click on that, you can see that what points are associated, which fees, what they're basing the interest rate off of, 760 credit score, 20% down, primary residence, single family home. And we can just, carve out and say, that doesn't apply to you. That doesn't apply to you. So we're looking at this. I'm going to save you a ton of time here. You don't have to rate shop, because we're just pulling up a few different types of lenders, online lenders and local credit union, and you can see their rates. They're right there. And what they're, sort of hiding behind is that very, very tiny disclosure button at the bottom that clicks on that describes each of what those rates truly mean and the fees associated with them. And then what I do is put together, for example, TCA I just did this morning was the best rate with no points, upfront mortgage insurance, monthly mortgage insurance, lender credits even. So more so now that I'm doing is maybe offering a higher interest rate, but with a sizable lender credit, because folks are like, they've seen home values appreciate, what is it, like 18% nationally. I've definitely seen that in my own loan amounts. They've increased 17% from last year. So it's hard to come up with the cash to close. So, income is pretty good, dual income, they qualify carrying the mortgage. So I'm actually going the other direction and even showing a higher rate, but with the lender credit to give them that opportunity to maybe not have to wait to save up until the spring.
Well, that was my big takeaway from our last interview, was that and remember, guys, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this topic now because we spent a half an hour a month ago and it's still relevant. But and I'm going from memory, where you're showing a no points loan, you're showing, close to a point, and then in your case, you're always showing like 1.5 points. And I know a lot of loan officers are showing all the way up to 2 points.
Wow.
But you're showing 3 options. And now when they pick it, they see you as high rates, low rates, and they pick it, they're invested. Would you say, like, anyone listening to this, that's still like one of your best strategies to, one, stay out of the rate shopping game so that they see you as just someone, they're shopping with Gina, would you say that's still one of your best tactics?
Absolutely. Because it's interesting that we're dealing with highly educated people, but when they look at the loan estimate and they gloss over the points. So when someone else sends them a really low rate, and then sometimes they'll share it with me and we'll be on a screen share call and I'll say, oh my gosh, did you see they're charging you $15,000? Oh, I'm so embarrassed. I didn't know. Thank you for pointing that out to me. So this way I show them the rate options and a side-by-side comparison. And oftentimes people are going for the rate buy down. And that was never really my own personal opinion. I was always like, well, just go with the best available rate. Now that, I've changed my tune and provided the clients with their own specific options and allow them to make their own decisions versus me imposing my own and only giving them one scenario.
All right, hold on. I got to stop right there. This is like the number one thing I see that loan officers make mistakes on. So I'm so glad that you brought it up. So think about that as a loan officer. Are you giving advice based on how you would borrow, or are you giving them the option so that they can run it through their personal filter and determine how it matches up to their options? And that's why when Dave said, people showing up to 2 points, you have to do that because that's what your competition is doing it, right? Gina said it, right? They're sending out their loan estimates with it. The clients are missing it. You got to scroll down to the bottom of their websites to see it. And I think the key is, and that's where Mortgage Coach is so beautiful for rate shopping, is if your client saw, 2.75 from someone else, they didn't ask the fees. We know they're not that smart. Or I shouldn't say that. They're not that sophisticated, right? They just didn't think through it, right? And so your responsibility is to make it easy on yourself. Is if that starts at 2.75, but you show them rates starting at 2.875, they're going to think you have a higher rate. So you've got to show those same low rates that they are quote unquote expecting, and then get out of your own head about how you're going to finance, and then educate them on here's what the options are. You can say, yeah, I might take this lower cost option myself. However, what I think Gina just proved is what I've seen in talking to loan officers all over the country, and then in coaching my own team, that is the key. Get out of your head, give them the options, and let them make the choice, because then they're going to love it and they're going to brag about you. That's going to put the cherry on top of the cake.
Oh, I want to give you all a quote that I want you to write down. It came from an interview I did last week. Todd Bellinger was on it. He's a professor at North Carolina University and a longtime mortgage coach and a trainer of certified liability advisor. But he said a quote that I wrote down, and I actually put it on LinkedIn last week. And it's, people appreciate what they discover more than what you tell them. And so think about that. And like, that's part of what, when you listen to Gina's experience and process, she's giving options. She's showing the transparency over time. They're discovering stuff, and then they're picking it. They're like, it's not like she's just saying, do this based off of, her 10 years of lending. And she could easily be, she's helping 300 families a year. She could easily be like, this is the loan for you. But she's not. She's showing options. She's helping them discover it. And guys, that is how you win with rate shoppers. One, you'll get shopped less because people will have this sense that, hey, you know what? She's got my best interest in mind. She's showing me information beyond what's common. And so that earns trust. And then she's coming across as an authority. She's showing things that other people aren't showing. So they trust her. She's got my best interest in mind. And she's an expert. She's got it dialed in. They don't shop. And by the way, people still shop, but now you're coming from a higher level of credibility and you can negotiate that a lot better. Deborah, anything you want to ask before we go into the next chapter, which I know you're going to like? It's going to be video and social media. And Josh Pitt, thank you for helping create engagement in the Mortgage Coach Facebook group. I think you're going to like the next 15 minutes of this conversation.
Can I just add one more thing? And for a lot of loan officers out there, part of it is getting people to apply, right? Not necessarily providing the feedback, but just getting them to the application. So converting them from a lead to an application. And that is where I use the phrase, I'm going to provide you with an analysis so you can see side by side your options. And it will come with a video message from me. So this way, when you speak with your husband later this evening, you guys can, look back at that and watch it again. And so I know he can't be on this call right now, but I'm going to give you this. And it's almost like, oh, okay, cool. Like they don't have to memorize what I tell them. They don't have to, feel like I'm forcing something on them. I tell them I'm going to provide you with a side-by-side analysis with a video so that you guys can reflect on that. And then we can talk through it together when you have a moment. And then that's when they apply. As soon as we hang up, they're filling out the application.
So guys, Script-a-Palooza. Todd, let's make a note. Gina, you are invited to next year's Script-a-Palooza, and we want to do that script. And everybody, this was it 32 minutes into the meeting. Go back and listen to what she just said, and then make it yourself. Like make it you. But you just heard how she phrases it. And that's another thing. Out of all the interviews that I've done, when loan officers say the right things before they get the TCA, everybody clicks on it. Gina, what percentage of your clients click on your link?
Is it 99%?
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, I have loan officers that start using Mortgage Coach. And they're like, no one's clicking on the link. And I'm like, well,
are they saying click here?
Yeah.
Maybe they're not leaving that part out.
Usually they're either putting too much information or they're not framing it with, your 30-second to 1-minute script. Deborah, anything you want to ask around this before we move on to the next question?
No, I was just going to ask you, Dave, will you make sure to remind everybody, because we had a few questions come in of where they can get more training on putting TCAs together. So will you just remind those that are listening where they can get that kind of support? So
guys, in the Mortgage Coach advice engine, there is a calendar, and every day of the week we do training. Also on our website, there is a calendar. So every Wednesday at 9 or 11 o'clock, we do strategy training. So our director of e-learning, Suzanne, every single Friday she does that. If you're a white belt and you've never done a TCA, you haven't done 20 of them, every Monday at 9 o'clock. And then every Thursday at 9 o'clock. So go to our calendar, sign up, there's live training. And then of course, our YouTube channel has recordings of all that and has a whole lot of training. So between those two things, you should be good. There is an online guide to some training. I'll put a link down below when I'm not talking for our online guide that just has, watch this 2-minute video, then this 3-minute video that helps you get started. So check that out, online guide.
Dave, is that where your diagrams are too? Like that diagram you sent me with the little cheat sheet?
I'm not sure what that is. Suzanne,
Okay.
By the way, Suzanne, our director of e-learning, just chimed in. She put a link to the resource training group. And anything else you want, Deborah, just ask for Suzanne. And
Okay.
Suzanne, thank you for jumping in here.
Sweet.
All right. And if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, we'll get those links in those channels too. So let's transition to kind of like what's working best for you right now. And I don't want to lead you, but I do want to make sure video gets into that and social media gets into that. But like, what's just working best for you right now in this market?
Yeah, no, I would absolutely. I mean, once we had entered the pandemic, that was really the name of the game with the video, especially with social media. They've been saying that for a long time, video. And one of the main pillars for me and my team is education. So whether it's for the agents or for the clients, sharing stories, sharing updates, sharing market analysis, you know, talking about, oh, people love, okay, how can we use crypto for a down payment? It's like anything that's hot and trending, and um, we can talk about from our perspective. People enjoy that. So as far as video goes, obviously Zoom calls, I think everyone's doing that at this point. The social media videos, we also use bomb. So on a weekly basis, we're reaching out to our past clients, monthly past client, and then weekly agent, and sending a video update with one of the videos that we recorded or a market update. Let's see what else.
Well,
Obviously,
let me just list, guys. So she's doing mortgage coach videos, she's doing Zoom, she's doing bomb, she's doing IG and other native videos. Are you doing YouTube videos? Are you publishing
we've
anything?
just started. So that's one of my marketing director is that's our main point this year, is to lean into more YouTube. We're posting what we have right now on there. I love video testimonials. Part of our extreme follow-up is we've brought clients in and did like a testimonial for different types of people, different situations. And that's part of our extreme follow-up, that those go out. And I've had clients email me and say, I want to be like Michelle and Mark, or, I want to buy there. I want to be in their shoes. So definitely the testimonial videos shared via email. Obviously, lunch and learns. We've done plenty of those, where having a guest speaker, doing a lunch and learn with a big, like big brokerage like WFP. Getting your face in front of as many people as possible, however you can, is the name of the game. So, yeah.
So also text video. Are you doing many text
Yeah,
videos?
thank you. I know I forgot that. So I just did, like this morning, I did a video to a listing agent, because they don't answer the phone. So, even though I've worked with this particular person before, they don't answer the phone all the time because they're so busy with their 5 offers that are coming in. So I record a video of myself, and I, relay to them the strength of their financing, include all those magical words that listing agents want to hear. And then I copy the listing agent and the buyer's agent, and the buyer's agent loves it, right? Because they're trying to get their client's foot in the door and get some attention on them. So when listing agents' voicemail boxes are full, or when they're just not listening to their voicemails or reading their emails, sending a video text message is a big win.
Now, Gina, did you ever have any fear when it came to shooting video? Because a lot of people out there, they have the intention to do video and then they freak out as soon as they're on camera, and they worry about how they sound and how they look. So did you have fear of that, and how did you get over it if you did?
Absolutely. And I think, like anything, the more you practice, the better you get and the more comfortable you are. I'll remember my husband was like, oh my gosh, your first video, you're moving, like I'm dizzy, stay put. And there's some simple approaches. Get yourself a ring, get yourself a stand, and get yourself a microphone. So all of those things probably each cost less than $20. And once you have that, you're pretty much set to go. When I do the videos, I look at the camera and I pretend that person is sitting there, and that I'm just simply having a conversation with them as if they're sitting on the other side of my desk. And I do the same thing when I'm doing the social media videos. I truly am talking to someone. And so when I just look at it as I'm having a conversation with you, here's how I want to explain it to you. That's that's my own little trick.
Love it.
So.
No TikTok yet, huh?
I did like one.
Yay!
I've done one TikTok. I've seen tremendous growth with that, and that's a goal. That takes You think
I
that's
think
a
we'll
lot
see
of
her
time?
on, I think we'll see her on TikTok before you know it.
It would be
Especially after-
fun to see you and your team do the new one where you're doing this. I don't know if you saw Tom Ferry's recent post.
I
It was on
haven't, but
Instagram.
I also struggle with like, okay, what line do I cross? Do I still seem
Yeah.
professional?
Yeah.
And I do, and now I think I can do it. I'm gonna do it, Deborah.
All
I'm gonna
right.
do that
You'll have to
video.
send it to me.
I will.
I do want to say something right there because I do think, I've followed Gina and watched what she does, and you really get a feel for, uniquely who she is, who her team is, but you're like, she's a pro. She's an advisor. She is, like, I want mortgage coaches to be the most valuable advisor in America, in their local markets, more valuable than CPAs, more valuable than financial planners. And Gina's doing that. So, I mean, and I don't know what the line is. I think it's different for everyone. Like where is the line between being fun and silly versus being a credible advisor? And I just think that's always going to be a personal decision.
Yeah.
Todd, before I ask the next question, I'm going to get into how she's using mortgage coach in today's market. But any questions you have or anything you want to call out at this point?
Well, I'm just going to call out that Deborah's going to have all of us on TikTok, before it's over. And, I think, as the person that our community is relying on for our social media advice, and, many like obviously you and I, Dave, with all our Modern Mortgage Summit, Modern Real Estate Summit, me with Win by Noon, who have hired Deborah to do all our social media. If she's telling us this week in and week out, then it's just telling me that I better get my ass on TikTok next, or I'm going to be in trouble. I don't want to be outdated. So I would just encourage you guys to think about it. But I also think what you said, Dave, and Gina, is valid, right? What's that line I do or don't want to cross? And I think that's where, Deborah, your question is so great. I mean, I think most of you in this community are doing video. However, those of you who aren't, I mean, I think that's the whole point, is we have to kind of get over ourselves and be okay with, who we are. I'm like, oh shoot, I got my one light shining less bright over here. So I got, different look. I'm like, oh well. And, my desk isn't going up. So I'm sitting down lower, and, we've got, we're not on speaker mode. So we're actually all on here all the time. So I can't, I'm trying to take notes and do things. And I'm like, all right, I got to actually make sure that it looks like I'm paying attention to all of you. So just think through how that's going to be when you're going. But I love the line of questioning. I think this is a great, playbook for video. You're doing a great job, Gina.
Thank you. I think you do have to be authentic, it's, and yes, there can be, it doesn't have to be perfect. I think too perfect isn't good. It's not as real or relatable. And Deborah, I will add, I just hung up with a realtor, one of my best agents, and he was like, oh, hey, by the way, I'm going to send you someone. They found me on TikTok. He uses TikTok and organically has grown this following. And I've helped him a few times this year already with clients that have found him on TikTok.
Well, it's the whole thing that Gary Vee, talks about, and going where the attention and the audience is. But I do say there is a very fine line of being silly and using the trends and the music where it could, I don't want to say destroy trust, but there's a very fine line. And so there's, Justin Brown is a great example of someone who's authentic and genuine, and he uses it as a tool, not just as a toy. And so that's where there's massive opportunity, because, that's where everyone is. It's still the most downloaded app but again, it's a social media platform where people go to escape. They don't want it to be too, like, you just staring in a camera. And if you're just slicing up your Zoom calls and you're putting it on all social platforms and you're not using the trends or the transitions, people are not going to follow that. So you've got to know your audience and know the motive behind why you would post on that platform, and not make it, boring, because there's a reason why people choose TikTok to escape when they're at lunch or going to the bathroom. It's for entertainment, but not too silly.
So Deborah, one last question, and then we'll try within a couple of minutes make the transition to how you use a mortgage coach in this market. But do you do a content calendar and have content days, or are you just kind of do it as it comes?
Yeah, I followed the Win by Noon planner.
No, I know what you do, Deborah. I was Gina do. Yeah, no, I know what you do. And Gina, what do you do?
We actually just had a meeting about that last week. That is a goal of ours, to then have every week have a theme. So, and I followed this from Lizzie Hoffer as well and her crew, where, what we don't realize is that sometimes I'll say, I already did a video about buying an investment property. Like that's been done, but it's like, no, like, the percentage of people that will actually see that is so low, and people receive it differently when you say something different or post something different or have a different photo. So the concept is every week have a theme of what that topic will be, and do a post about that same theme for 1 week straight. Also, I should probably say it now. I'm gonna hold myself accountable. We're gonna roll out a women with Wednesday with women. So I don't know the exact phrasing on it, but I have so many badass boss babe clients, realtor referral partners, different business women within the community. That's something I want to roll out as well, because I love empowering women, and that's near and dear to my heart.
I love that. Can't wait to see it. We'll make sure we do another interview and shine a light on that.
Okay.
Deborah, why don't you tell her your thoughts on TCA Tuesday, and also any leadership you have. So this is your turn, Deborah, to just give them a couple of minutes of thoughts. One, to the audience on calendaring, and two, how to as a mortgage coach, what should they be doing?
So I always take like a 30,000 foot view where I look at the month, and I already know I've themed the day TCA Tuesday so that the clients are making sure to showcase how they're using TCAs to solve normal family problems. Okay. But we want to space out the TCA so that you're diversifying, say in the month, maybe the first Tuesday of the month is, a debt consolidation refinance. The second Tuesday of the month, maybe a move up analysis. The third Tuesday could be rent versus own, like those most. And the last one, I think for this month, we're doing appraisal gap. So that way you're diversifying your TCAs within the whole month, but it also, like you said, in the first couple of minutes of this call, you send a TCA out to a client and they're like, wow, which is exactly how Mortgage Coach was originally created. Dave wanted that wow experience. So when you think about it on a one-to-one, when they're so impressed by teaching them something that they didn't know before, and that aligns with the quote that Dave shared, imagine now if Tuesday you knew it was bookmarked in your Win by Noon planner where you're going to go live and you're going to follow the Renee Rodriguez where you give the intro, which is just the introduction to the family's problem. It could be something like, I always use Alex Cook's single mom refinance, where, he had a mom that reached out to him. She was a single mom. She really wanted to do $5,000 worth of renovations. So you're introducing the emotional part of the client's problem. The message is the TCA. Here's how we solved her problem, very specific to her challenge, but it shows how you think differently. And that is such a valuable component that when you just keep it one-to-one, I would say that's the number one missed opportunity that loan originators do who use mortgage coaches. They keep it just one-to-one. I want your social sphere to see how you solve problems and how you think differently and how you are different than traditional loan officers who send those ugly PDFs that are so confusing and you're trying to put them side by side. And then the last part of the message when you go live is the tie down. So the most classic one is, I share this with you all because you may be a single mom out there who's also wanting to do some renovations and don't know that if you tapped into your locked up equity, you could also have this much in net worth in 20 years. You know what I mean? So it's showing people that you're different, how you're different, while keeping the emotional connection, showing the problems that you solve for families for all to see. So they know exactly who to go to if they need help. So that's what we themed Tuesdays for, is TCA Tuesday. And I recommend going live because the algorithms don't apply when you do go live. And then for anyone who's watching, if you're really nervous about live, a shortcut is you could use StreamYard. You can pre-record in StreamYard and it will act like you're going live, and you could go ahead and plan these all out for the next month if you're too nervous to go live, when it's live time. So
there's a thought for you, and and at the end of the day, it's about being a solution provider and just telling stories where this family had this problem, I had this solution, and if you'd like me to solve a problem for you, reach out to me. So anyways, Jeremy Forcier, a couple months ago, this was his number one takeaway from we were interviewing him, and he literally that day did a Facebook Live and got like, I don't know, 3 or 4 loans out of it. So
Yeah, he didn't
FYI.
even show his face. He just turned his like phone and he was showing his computer screen, which just goes.
It was bad, actually. It wasn't really
It was bad.
It
I was gonna
was.
say I was gonna go watch it and do it because, there's a lot of situations where people are embarrassed to make calls, and they might be dealing with attorneys and family situations, and they're like, I don't really know how to explain this to you because it's so uncomfortable, but they need help, and that's a phenomenal way to lay that out there for all to
See,
see.
Gina, what you just said, that would be a great intro, because that just gave permission to your audience who may also be thinking the same thing. Because there's ego and shame, and sometimes just giving that permission by that first statement makes them like, okay, I can contact Gina. I could trust her.
Mhm.
Powerful. All right,
Thank
guys,
you.
we got 10 minutes.
Okay.
I want to know how you're using Mortgage Coach in today's market most often. I know you've got a couple TCAs, and anyone who's new to our community, TCA stands for Total Cost Analysis.
Mhm.
And it is exactly what a family wants when they're getting a loan. And realtors love it. And loan officers love it because you get better conversion and less rate shopping. So little FYI for all you new LOs. So how are you using Mortgage Coach, and what TCA do you have to share right now?
Sure, I will share this one. Let's see. Okay, share. So this is a total cost analysis that we prepared for clients who were buying a $1.5 million home with 20% down. So pretty straightforward, actually. But I know that, when someone's buying that size home, they typically have a financial advisor. They typically have, a wealth manager or something where they're going to say, hey, you should at least check with so and so. So we have to put together different rate options. So in this scenario, it was a very simple no point option, 1/4 point and 3/4 of a point. And this particular person, like when you look at the comparison, $9,000, they're like, yep, I'll do that. So and you don't really know what's motivating people sometimes. Is it their neighbor got such and such rate, or their realtor said they just closed a loan and someone had a different rate? And so I think showing this analysis is a great way, because it allows someone to understand that they can get that in this case, 2-handle interest rate for their jumbo loan.
And another great strategy here, guys. So this is the interest rate option, but sometimes doing down payment options, especially if
Oh,
they're
for
a
sure.
financial advisor, you could show them 10% down, and then you could take that savings, the difference between 20% down, 10%, show that if they left it with their financial planner, what would be their net worth in 10 years. By the way, guys, financial advisors love that.
Mhm.
And even if the consumer doesn't pick it, it's like, oh, they're like, oh, I never thought of it that way. Or thank you for helping me look at that way.
The-
Do you do
That
that
is
much?
one of the biggest eye opening. Yeah, that's a huge eye opener for clients. I mean, this is somewhat similar. This isn't a different down payment option, but this is mortgage insurance. A lot of people hear the word mortgage insurance, or they type it into Google and they're like, I do not want that. Ugh, like, I don't want mortgage insurance. It's so terrible. But what I tell people is mortgage insurance actually is a good thing, because it allows you to be a homeowner and build generational wealth, even though you're putting less than 20% down. There's different, we live in the US where that's an opportunity. Not everywhere doesn't, all over the world does not allow you to do that. Some countries require cash. So in this situation, it's a great option. But what most people don't realize is that there are different mortgage insurance, opportunities, not always monthly. And so in this situation, I like to show upfront mortgage insurance and how it impacts the monthly payment, compared to the same rate with monthly mortgage insurance, and how you compare the cash to close. And then I was saying earlier in the conversation that, this client really, although they had more money, wanted to put $50,000 or less down. Well, this gets them there. Their monthly payment is a little bit higher, but with dual income, they felt like this is a win for us, because now I can keep, nearly $18,000 in my pocket, or not have to sell investments, or may not need to ask family for money. And this is a really great way of comparing that side by side.
So Gina, 2 things before we go off of Mortgage Coach. Community, I want you to notice she's got her picture, that's her brand. She's got her company logo. She's got her team. She's got a video. She's got options. She's showing cost over time. Gina is a modern local mortgage advisor. If you're not, you're missing out. Gina, real quick, how long does it take you and your team to create these? You know, and how much is your team doing versus what you're doing?
I would say the team starts with preparing the mortgage coach, and then depending on their level of experience, I will happily let them send the mortgage coach video, because you know what that also does when you're building a team? It then introduces the client to that next person. You know, I know I only have the client touch 3 people on my team besides the executive assistant when they make a phone call, but it's myself, it's my one loan partner, and my processor. And so when I have the conversation with them and I get them to apply, either I will do the video or most likely one of my loan partners will do it. But it's a great way for them to introduce themselves and say, hey, you know, for example, I'm Gladys and I work with Gina. She asked me to prepare these loan options for you. Please let Gina or myself know if we have any questions. So that way now they're introduced to her. And if I'm tied up in a meeting or on a phone call like this, they have someone that's, you know, that they know they can lean on and that they've been introduced to.
Beautiful. I want you to, before you stop sharing your screen, show one more thing. If you could go to your settings, you know, in the advice engine. I want to
Oh,
show.
yes. Oh, shoot. Yes, you asked me to
Yeah.
do that. Okay,
Yeah,
1 second.
kind of like we did when we were prepping.
Yep. Menu, right?
Yeah. Well, no, you have to actually go into the advice engine. And if you don't have it pulled up.
Ah, yep. I see what you're saying. There we
There we
go.
go. Okay, here we go, guys. So I want you guys to see this. She's created, her and her team have created 955. So she's almost a grandmaster, black belt, and she's done it in like 6 months. They have added 806 videos.
Mhm.
Notice that in the upper right-hand corner. And notice they've been viewed over 4,600 times. So that's on average 4.5 times every time she shares a link. So why don't you stop sharing that real quick, Gina? And I know part of that was the scripting you shared earlier with the consumer. And then part of it is, are you CCing the realtor on these? Is there a realtor strategy or realtors watching any of these mortgage coach videos?
Absolutely. And the feedback from the realtors has been, this is awesome. I love your video, you know, and so they see us taking care of the client in a way that otherwise they wouldn't see. So they're not sitting in on our video calls initially, they're not sitting in on our phone calls, but when we send the video, they can watch it and they know that I'm listening, right? Because I'm referencing our conversation. Hey, I know you wanted to be under 4,000 a month, but here's this payment. And they also are then in tune with what's important to the client. So yeah, great feedback from the agents. I know they're watching it as well. They're learning as well. They'll even say, hey, I didn't realize you needed mortgage insurance at that point. So it's a great learning opportunity for everybody.
Well, Todd, I'm going to, in a minute, give you to ask the last question. I want to try to get one more script out of you. We know how you position a TCA. This is some scripting that we teach loan officers, like, hey, how do you make your value prop? And it's, hey, you know, my advice helps you build wealth with real estate, blah, blah, blah. So this is part of our training at Mortgage Coach. But I'd like to know, like, what is your value prop script? You know, when you're kind of differentiating yourself, what are some of the words, some of the phrases? You may not say it to everyone, but you say it to a lot of folks to really lay out your value prop. What do you say?
Is that funny? You find yourself saying the same thing over and over again. My husband says I could just put you on repeat. But anyway, yeah, what I would say to clients, you know, to help them paint the picture, right? Create the story, create a feeling is, you know, I say, hey, you know, I know that it sounds like you've been looking for homes for a while, maybe with a realtor, maybe not, looking online at different tools. And you may have experienced that when you go on, you know, an online tool and a house comes up and you're like, oh my gosh, this could be it. I love it. And you share it with your spouse or your family member. And then you come back from lunch and it says pending. You know, how does that make you feel? And they're like, it's the worst. Like, how do we? And I say, that's what we're here to do. We're here to help you put you in that position. So you're the first offer in, so that you're prepared, so that you're confident, so that your agent, when you go look at that house or maybe online, they're already writing the offer. And we have the lender letter. I'm calling the listing agent. You will feel super confident and comfortable with making an offer on this home. And the offer is a legal binding contract. So that's some serious business. But we need to provide this analysis for you, help you understand your options so that when you find that right home, you will win it.
Boom. So guys, you got a script that was at the very end. You got 2 amazing scripts. You got so much value from this interview. Deborah, anything you want to say or close out with before Todd wraps it up for us?
No, other than for everyone who's listening to this, make sure you're following Gina's. What's your Instagram?
Gina Myers Team.
And what about YouTube channel?
Gina Myers Team.
Okay, is that created yet?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
yeah.
good. Okay.
Mhm.
We're gonna put a little bit of pressure on you. Make sure that you get videos.
I love it. I need more accountability. So thank you, Deborah. What you
Putting the squeeze.
had a huge takeaway from you. Thank you. That was so well put and very clearly outlined. Thank you for that information.
You're welcome.
So Todd, take us home.
All right. Well, we're going to watch you on TikTok too. So no pressure there. And
Doing some dance or something.
super excited. Well, a couple of things real quick on a personal level. I put a link down below. I'm teaching, super excited to be teaching for the first time as a webinar, life planning tomorrow. And then by Encore Performance, I'm teaching business planning again on Thursday. Just go to winbynoon.com/calendar to sign up. Would love to see you guys there. But, this was just a great day. I enjoyed meeting you, Gina. I really feel like anytime that we bring a producer like you in the community as a fresh face, the fact that you've done almost 1,000 TCAs in less than a year is something that everyone in this community should aspire to. And you kind of heard her walk through her concierge level experience, right? Look at your own experience, see how does your experience stack up? What can you do to improve it? She walked through how she's using video and the different touch points that she has. She's got a plan for it. And then Deb walked you through how she would do it and added even some more depth of what you can be doing. I think that's really what it's all about, right? Our goal for you is to learn, and then more importantly, to take action. And so what I want you to do is take some time now, write down what your top takeaways were, schedule the time, and then make sure you take action, because that's what it's all about. It's great that you spent the last hour here, but it's not great if you don't actually put it into making you more loans close, making more families happy. So as always, so great to be here with you guys, and look forward to our next time as we learn more about Gina and the rest of the community.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add to anyone listening to this is do a TCA a day. We have focused on this challenge that we've put out there to the mortgage coach community, a TCA a day. And there's even go to Win by Noon, there's a TCA day calendar. And on the other side, it's a CMA a day, because realtors should be doing at least 1 CMA a day. So if you're interested in that, check out some of the content on it. But you notice that closing thought, she said her husband jokes that, I could just put you on wine, and you always say the same thing. Guys, the best of the best, they have best practices, and then they're consistent about those best practices. So if you got nothing from that, everybody has a different personality. Be your authentic you, but be your best authentic you. And by the way, if you're not doing a total cost analysis, you're not being your best, and then be consistent. Gina, thank you so much for all the time you've spent, and really appreciate getting to know you, and looking forward to interviewing again.
Thank you so much. This was my pleasure. I really enjoyed myself. I was a little nervous, and I felt like I had a lot of fun with you guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, you were a blast. And everyone, if you're not following the Mortgage Coach on YouTube, go and subscribe so you get an alert every time we upload a video. Make sure you follow us in our Facebook group, Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind. And every single weekday, I am posting something that if you want to be a modern mortgage professional and be an advisor, on LinkedIn every day, there's something for you guys. Take care, everybody. This is a wrap.
All right. Good
Thank
seeing
you
you
all.
all.
Take care.